When Asat gets absorbed, Sat begins. Chapter 1. Ganesha explains the sequence and method. When Surya, the enjoyer of the joy of incorporeal Brahma, thinks, how can I attain eternity and identify with the Absolute? The blame of being Asat is due to being the supporting principle. This is not just. Therefore, his duty is to sacrifice. When this thought stabilizes, the form of Asat is automatically absorbed. Siddhi and Buddhi Vinayak. Gajanan says to King Varenya, I am the union of all, and Asat gets absorbed in me. This experience of being in a state of incorporeal, supraconscious takes place in the abode of Ganesh Brahma. Truly, such self-knowing does not take place here. Therefore, this part of me came to be known as Buddhi Vinayak. My abode is beyond all play. The desire that arose due to being under the control of the self-knowing Maya has been described by the Shrutis as Sa Ikshata. That is my Ikshana Shakti. This mass of knowledge is Buddhi, which provides shelter. That is why I am known as Buddhi Vinayaka. This is one part of Ganesha. The nature of Buddhi is the knowledge of Brahma. She is experienced where there are no differences. If we take the verse, Sankhya Krutva Krutva Yaduviratam Tat Sankhya-titam Brahma Sankhyam, then it can be derived that Brahma can be called Sankhya. The Bhagavad Gita also speaks of Sankhya Brahma as Buddhi. Considering this original meaning, the joy of Brahma becomes spontaneous. The moment we realize that Brahma exists, the question then arises as to how is he? Thus, the movement towards consciousness takes place. As a result of this tendency, joy, happiness and experiencing this happiness becomes possible. Original joy of Swananda is forgotten. Then the authority of the all-knowing Buddhi begins, and the blame for that falls on her husband. Different kinds of illusory knowledge begin to be felt as though they are the truth. This is known as enchantment and is the nature of Siddhi. Because of her clever illumination, Buddhi also gets enchanted and supports the different kinds of play in the world. This is a natural progress in the sequence. But when Buddhi is not enchanted, even after seeing the different kinds of play enacted by Siddhi, and without splitting up into various parts, she remains as the self-knowing essence of Brahma without undergoing any change. Then the dutiful work of Siddhi is useless. Her strengths don't get any respite. Then she surrenders herself to Buddhi and gets absorbed in the self-knowing form. Because Buddhi's capabilities are the main thing here, all my powers come under the control of Buddhi. That is how I am known as Buddhi Vinayaka. In this manner, the whole experience of being in the incorporeal, supraconscious is accomplished due to my regular disposition. These qualities have been indicated here. The Siddhi who has become under the control of Buddhi always remains absorbed in the Supreme Being. This means the inspiration for play does not happen as per her desire. That is why my reverse ascent is beyond ascent. King Varenya heard all the instructions given so far. Keeping all this in mind and the description of Purna Yoga stated earlier and connecting the two, he realized that the main features of reverse ascent form does not represent the absolute form. This is because the glory of Purna Yoga is beyond self and reverse ascent. Having realized this to be certain, he asked Sri Gajanana Prabhu, in order to understand Purna Yoga, which is beyond all this, please narrate to me the complete glory of self-knowing of the Lord of Swananda. Self-knowing of Lord of Swananda. With the end of ignorance, we begin to experience the being and nature of Siddhi Vinayaka, Buddhi Vinayaka, and also the glory of Ganesha through supra-conscious meditative union. He says in the 24th verse, Aham eko nrinam natho jata panchavidha pura ajnanan mam na jananti jagat karana karanam. Shri Gajanan Prabhu says, earlier we had enriched ourselves with the nectarous message of both the verses. Now in this third verse, the explanation will make it clearer. The play of ignorance was explained in the first verse. When that play was completed, that is, its creation, existence and dissolution into supraconscious took place, it became clear that this was the first experience of being. The experience of being means the incidental characteristic of the play of this world. In the beginning, the first person to be blamed was the void. The Brahma of the void, which out of its own will and desire, out of its own essence of equanimity, brought its powers under the control of Swananda Maya and engaged in the play of the world. In this manner, the meaning in which the play of the world was experienced firsthand, to know how its origin should have been, Shruti instructed that the state of support of Swananda Maya is the first blame. This is not true. Therefore, that tool with which it is possible to experience the beyond state turns out to be the remedial experience to false accusation. So the first blame is of taking support of Maya, which is the self-knowing, absolute union with the bearer of power, and that itself is the experience of being. The experience of dissolution and creation that originates is of three types. They are 1. The actual experience of the dissolution, creation. 2. Having support of the original power. And 3. The existence of the source of duality of the supporter and the support. These are the three aspects of the experience of being. If the same thing is put sequentially, it is dissolution of causal matter, the incorporeal state, and the experience of being. These are the three things that have been instructed. In the first verse, Ahameva Jagad Yasmat is that I am the original power of creation, sustenance and dissolution. In this sense, self-knowing through Purna Yoga rests with me. This is the meaning that the verse indicates. In the same way, the Brahmas without attributes like Shiva and others too are not different from me. They are my own part. This is the secret meaning contained in Ahameva Mahashakti and other verses. This is the narration of the dual experience of being. So also we know the true glory of the self-knowing of absolute union. Since I am the original cause of everything, the eternal, omnipotent and always independent, it is me alone who plays through the four types of Brahma. This is the absolute experience of being in the supraconscious meditative union. This is the lowest power that can be attained, who is in the form of Ganaraja Prabhu, the Lord of Swananda. His description is given in the following verses. Shri Gajanan Prabhu now goes on to narrate how that which was one came to be experienced as five types. The regulator of the play of the whole universe rests with me alone. I am the master and the sustainer of the innumerable forms of life in this world. It is because of my knowledge that everybody is uplifted, and it is through my worship that all actions done become successful. I am such a unified form. It is out of my own desire that I got manifested as the five types of, namely, Shiva, Vishnu, Surya and Shakti, the four, which I created, and I, who manifested as the Pancham, the fifth, to regulate the other four. Thus I became five. The one became the five. The verse Panchavidho Jataha means I became the five types, Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, Surya and Ganesh. And that Brahma is beyond these five. One should not understand this to be so, because the one who is the bearer of Shiva and others, the four kinds of differences, is the one Brahma and he is beyond them, and after the dissolution he is experienced. He is the Atma Brahma principle called Ganesh. His fifth form is merely for the sake of narration. Therefore, the meaning of the verse Pura Aham Eka Panchavidhau Jataha is as above. This is because only four types of states are mentioned, namely waking, sleep, dream, and deep sleep. There is no mention of a fifth state anywhere. The complete absence of the four states is mentioned as the fifth state. The state of Supreme Brahma, being different from the five stated above, is not mentioned anywhere. This is evident as per the Vedas. Sri Yogendra has elucidated this very important aspect in his commentary. Sri Gajanana Prabhu says to King Varenya, listen to the glory of the experience of being in the form of Lord of Swananda, who is also known as Siddhi Buddhi Vinayaka. The one who plays in various forms of this world in the Tat and Tvam stages with the majesty of being complete without any differences is known as self-ascent. It is well known by the name enlightened Brahma. Even though it is known only by the experience of dissolution of causal matter, still it being the incidental cause of all play in the world, it is known as play interested Brahma.